On occasion recently, I've been asking you to spot Alan the lifeboat from a distance, amongst other boats.
This is not one of those occasions. However, I can offer you some gentle early morning mist, which is the best of the weather conditions that Scotland has thrown at us this month.
But we'll now cut to today's mission, starting with me walking down onto the marina pontoons, and naturally pretending that I didn't set up the camera before claiming to walk past it for the first time. If you don't believe me, this high production value multiple camera technique unveils the incriminating evidence as it goes on. I then wasted time checking emails as I waited for a boat with a noisy engine to disappear.
Well, this is probably the first time you've seen me down here on one of the pontoons that we actually arrived to back at the end of the summer, and I'm here to test a new gadget.
This is the basic Wi-Fi enabled Fishfinder mini sonar unit from LuckyLaker. I don't need to find fish, but I do need sometimes to find out how close sand, mud or rocks are to the underside of Alan's hull. It's all well and good relying on calculations made from charts and tide tables, but of course wanting to know your actual water depth is, I assume boaty people would agree, not unusual.
I could install a fixed through-hull sonar, but I'm not going to. A number of reasons.
Most of the zone you'd choose for one is inaccessible on Alan, deep under a glass fibre moulding and beyond foam void fill. Second, I like the idea of having the unit mobile and even deployable aboard Alanson III if he is tasked to head off and scout ahead. Thirdly, cost. I can buy 2 of these and still have change from £100. It's a simple design. A buoyant sphere with an inbuilt battery and a water-sealed upper compartment where there's the charging port and an on-off switch.
I drilled a little hole and have attached and sealed a long Dyneema "please don't float away" cord. It's pretty simple, and of course this test isn't how I'm going to use it on Alan's bow. Instead, I'll incorporate it into a mount it can clip in and out of. Now let's see how it works. You connect to the Wi-Fi easily and using a generic but functional app. A few moderately useful functions, although I need to investigate further to see if you need to, or if you can, calibrate it.
You even get a thermometer reading, still warm from my jacket pocket. Above the water it gives you a sort of flat reading, and then once in the water the detail begins to appear. Ooh, a fish! Another fish! A much larger fish, or some plastic pollution floating around.
Either, I suppose, but I'm not fishing, so that's just entertainment.
The measured depth at high tide in this dredged pontoon area seemed about right, but I walked to the end of the pontoon to see if the device was tricking me. Let us take this opportunity as I get the knots out of the Dyneema safety cord to think about how I want to create a mount for the unit. It needs to be removable so we can use it from Alanson III, our dinghy, but robustly held in the correct place, while still able to sit on the surface as waves rise and fall. I'm thinking a lightweight pole on top that slides through a couple of guides. Up and down movement, but unable to disappear off.
Now I can share startling news of the depth of the water over here. It's just over a metre deeper at the fueling berth. Sounds about right. And never mind about those fish. We should probably give them names though.
I'm really happy with this first test. Strong signal, a nicely made little device, and I hope it'll make a flexible addition to our ever-progressing setup aboard Alan. Let's enjoy some more of the pontoon before we retreat.
The winter sun delivered us some atmospheric water vapour. This is where Alan will motor north from this coming spring.
I think that's a pretty good start, so I'm going to integrate that into my system and see if we can come up with a way of basically having depth finding both on the boat and also on Alanson if we want to go out and do a little bit of scouting. So happy with that.
Real Alex always seems to be slightly behind the curve, doesn't he? Voiceover Alex has more or less shared that news already. Some more salubrious berth holders have spruced up their mooring locations. Grass, indeed.
This is the slipway where we came ashore in early September, and some lucky sailor was having the marina staff clean his boat for him. You probably can't see Alan quite yet, but I promise this one isn't a tease. There he is, obstinate and orange amongst all that white yachtiness.
The view in the other direction was, dare I suggest, better. A historic rail bridge, a bulk carrier, and old fortifications and ruins on one of the little islands. I feel that I do owe you a brief update on the Arctic Sledge's rope shock damper I was making in the last episode from a length of silicon rubber.
I deployed some Forstner bits, and their job was to make some holes. It'll lighten the damper and make it a little more stretchy.
Very smart. Also, sad news. My immediate neighbour was evicted. I liked that boat, as it wasn't very large, and the horizontal trailer wheel guards gave me a workbench. I wonder who'll end up there instead.
And before I was ready for it, Scotland reminded me that they don't have much in the way of winter evening daylight.
I'll see if I can get another episode done for you this weekend, as the pace of work both in the workshop container and aboard Alan has been frenetic.
If you are not totally miffed by the content and indeed the tone of my videos, then I urge the benevolent amongst you to see if a channel membership, some merch or my books, which enhance your lives in every way, would be a good idea for you.
It should. Cheers. Bye.